Hello everyone, this is Socorda Diesel here, and Merry Christmas again as we take a look at another holiday special that I promise you on this Christmas Day. Again, if this comes out on Christmas Day, I don't know yet, but anyway, as I mentioned in the last video, All of the Other Reindeer was one of the Christmas specials I've watched a lot of as a kid during the holidays. That being said, there was another Christmas special around Cartoon Network that would come on every year, and I would watch it with my grandma and my mother. And much like the last review, this movie also revolves a reindeer. In case you couldn't tell by now by the title of this video that I'm reviewing, this is Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, based on a Christmas song of the same name by Dr. Elmo. No, not that Elmo. There we go. Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer is an animated holiday special released to home video at around October of 2000, then later aired on the WB on December 21st, 2000, to later air on other channels, Cartoon Network being one of them. So, much like Olive, does this movie still hold up? Well, let's take a look. So kids, did you ever want the story where Santa runs over a grandmother and gets put on trial for a hit and run charge? If you said yes, get some help. But anyway, the story is just as you think it is from the look on the title. The story revolves around Jake and his grandmother. She's your typical nice old lady that loves to help others and is loved by anyone over the town, except of course from Cousin Mel, a typical money-hungry villain for this special. She gets her grandmother run over and is about to buy the store and ruin Christmas. So it's up to Jake to stop her and save the store. Oh boy, so where do I start with this story? Again, much like all of the other reindeer, I'll give the movie credit in that it has some originality. Again, I don't think we've had a Christmas movie where someone's grandma just got run over, by a reindeer no less. Looking back on this movie now, man, it's one of those movies where it has so many faults and plot holes. It's actually almost so bad, it's good. So let's talk about Cousin Mel's plan to getting Grandma's store. So her plan is basically almost poison or make people realize that her fruitcakes are horrible, which by itself is a weak plan because 1. All Grandma would have to do is say that she didn't use or didn't know about the file, and all the police would have to do is look for fingerprints to see who used it. Plus, just because someone might not like the fruitcake doesn't mean that customers would stop coming to the store right away. But isn't it just a convenience that the file just happened to have the same effect as reindeer nip? I would like to know where the hell she got that from in the first place. Also, I guess Santa's reason for wanting Grandma to stay in the North Pole, but why out of all places did he have to leave the note in the middle of the snow? I mean, seriously, who the hell is going to make notice of the snow just lying in the middle of the snow? The least you could have done is leave it at the door and then knock, or even email someone about this like Jake. You know he still believes in you, or even to avoid all of this, just put Grandma in a regular hospital. All of these events in the movie could have been avoided if you would have done either one of these suggestions in the first place. There are some jokes in here that are okay, some light humor, but there are also humor in this movie that is a bit cringy or even a little awkward at times. There's also the simple messages of being kind to others or believing in Christmas, something we've seen before. It's okay, nothing really wrong with it. But man, looking at the story, there are lots of plot holes about this movie that just don't add up. And yet it's still fine. It's not the worst story ever told. Again, there are some original parts, but honestly, after watching all of the other reindeer, this movie really is pretty bland than that movie. So for the story, I'll have to give it a 5 out of 10. So with all of the other reindeer, we had a simple story with simple characters. But the simple characters had enough traits to make them memorable. What about the characters in this movie? I mean, they're not the worst characters. They don't even have a trait that makes them awful, but that's the problem. They have next to almost no character about them. It's pretty much a what you see is what you get. We have the hero Jake that's a good boy, does nothing wrong, and is the only one that believes in Santa and wants to save Christmas. And that's it. We have Grandma, the typical nice lady grandma, and a simple money-hungry villain, Cousin Mel. God, is she bland. I sometimes forget that she's even in the movie. That's how I feel about the rest of the characters in this movie. All of them just feel like they're just there. As soon as they're gone, you forget all about them. The only character that leaves some kind of an impression is the grandpa in this movie, and just how relaxed he is. His wife gets run over by a sleigh and a reindeer, and he's just okay with it. He's not sad or even gets fazed by it. Like, this just happens on a regular basis for him. And when a strange little man takes his young grandson, he's just like, okay, just don't get killed. What a great grandparent he is. Again, these characters aren't the worst, but man, outside of the grandpa, they are just forgettable and bland in every way. These characters, I'm giving every character in here a 4 out of 10. Now keep in mind that this movie is a direct-to-video movie, and like I mentioned in Toy Bonnie's Toy Story 2 review, direct-to-video usually has a low budget, so I'm not going to be too harsh on the animation, and as far as animated direct-to-videos go, this one mostly gets a pass for me. In terms of the background and the look of the city, it's nice, got some good colors and shading in certain places, and gives it a nice Christmas feel. The characters, in terms of the whole body, is nice, but the way they move, yikes. There's a lot of moments in the movie where the animation feels a little clunky with how the characters move. It feels awkward, and most of the same time, it feels like the characters' mouths are always open and never closed. I also like when Grandma got run over, you can clearly see her face first on the snow, and then somehow she got turned around without the snow being disturbed from the turning. Again, it's not the worst animation I've seen, but it is pretty meh. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. This is an area where I'm actually split. Now, I grew up with these songs, and while listening to them today, yeah, they are silly by today's standards, but that's the fun of these songs and just how silly they are. I think that's actually the point. And to his credit, some of the songs are pretty catchy, and I still remember them to this day. But as many people, I'm sure, have pointed this out, there were at least 3 moments in this movie where the songs kind of just pop out of nowhere. I get that in some way that this is supposed to be a musical, but all have had a good build-up to some of these songs that it didn't feel like they came out of nowhere. In this movie, there are a few moments where a character will say something and, oh, music time. Seriously, there's a scene in the movie where the grandpa just sings a song and that's it. Like, what was that all about? That did nothing except pad out the movie's runtime, and that's what some of these songs feel like. It just feels like the team just picked some random songs out from the album, made a short video out of it, and just used it to make sure the runtime was filled out. Again, it's tough for me to rate this because the songs are catchy and there are some that I still like to this day, but the way they were placed just feels weird, and I'm not sure if I like it because of how out of nowhere these songs are in the movie, or just be confused for how these songs felt like they were slapped in the last minute. After thinking about it, I'm going to give the music a 6 out of 10. Well, let me say this. Reviewing this movie wasn't too hard, but giving it a rating and trying to be fair without sounding too harsh or giving this movie too much of a free pass, it was pretty tough. Honestly, I've seen some reviews of this movie, and when it gets ripped, it could get ripped hard. Most people would agree that the story is bland, there are lots of plot holes that don't add up, the animation is weird, and even the voice acting can get on some people's nerves. But speaking from an honest point of view, I don't think this movie is as bad as some people are making it out to be. Sure, it might not make some sense, and it might not be as memorable as some other Christmas specials, but watching this movie again after a while, I still enjoy it for what it is on its own. It's more of a guilty pleasure, but I like the story and the music in this movie. The animation could be better, but for what it is, I've seen worse. It's not the best, and it is pretty bland, but it's still enjoyable for me to watch, and honestly, I would recommend this movie to anyone if you want just a simple, fun Christmas movie, and if you like really movies that are bad but they're still good, definitely check this one out. So my final rating, I will give Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer a 5 out of 10, a meh movie. Definitely not the best Christmas movie, but again, not the worst one either. And wow, I actually posted these Christmas reviews on Christmas Day, at the same day. Wow, maybe my luck has changed. Maybe I will be more productive in the next year. Well, one could dream, can they? Anyway, this has been Sakura Diesel saying thank you all so much for watching this review, and have yourself a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holiday or whatever the hell you celebrate out there. If you guys have enjoyed these 2 reviews, don't forget to hit the like button. If you guys want to see more movies or TV show reviews, hit that subscribe button as well. And speaking of which, if you guys got any movies or TV shows you want me to take a look at and possibly review, list them in the comments or either YouTube or on my Facebook page. Also, if you guys like any, games and like to see people doing Let's Plays of games, check out my gaming channel where I mostly do that. Anyway, this has been Security Diesel saying thank you all so much for watching, happy holidays and all that, and I'll see you all in the next movie/TV show review, where, again, hopefully maybe I might be more productive, but one can hope. Anyway, take care, guys.